Hello students, good morning everyone. Today we will discuss the concept of memory organization. So let us start with chapter number 4. So that is what your memory organization. So in the last class or in the last video we have completed the chapter number 3. Okay. So just we will discuss the brief introduction of memory organization. So in that memory then we will move on to the memory hierarchy in computer system. We will discuss the block diagram of that memory hierarchy one by one. So then we will discuss the characteristics of memory device or memory systems. So first we will move on to the introduction part. So memory unit is an essential component in digital computers since it is needed for storing programs and data. So you have to store the programs and data. So that purpose you have to use for what? That memory. So again, in introduction, two or three levels of the memories are there. First one is the main memory, second one is the secondary memory, and third one is the cache memory. So in the next class or in the next video, we will discuss more detailed concept about what main memory, secondary memory, cache memory. Next we will discuss memory hierarchy in computer system. So this is the block diagram of memory hierarchy in computer system. So first comes under auxiliary memory. So in that magnetic tapes and magnetic disks, input output processor, CPU, main memory and cache memory. So this is the detailed block diagram for what memory hierarchy in computer system. We will move on to the what? We will move on to the whatever one by one. So first in that auxiliary memory. So what is that auxiliary memory? So first of all, this auxiliary memory is known as lowest cost, highest capacity and slowest access storage in a computer system. So again, this auxiliary memory is what? Is the lowest cost, highest capacity and slowest access storage in computer system. Second point, auxiliary memory provides storage for programs and data that are kept for long-term storage and when not in immediate use. Examples are magnetic tapes and magnetic disk. Okay, so second point is whatever auxiliary memory provides storage for programs and data that are kept for long-term storage or when not in immediate use. Examples are magnetic tapes and magnetic disk. So what is that magnetic disk and magnetic tapes? A magnetic disk is a digital computer memory that uses magnetization process to write, rewrite and access data. You can write, you can rewrite or access the data using that magnetic disk. For example, hard drives, zip disks and floppy disks. So these are the examples of what? Magnetic disk. So next we'll move on to the magnetic tape is storage medium that allows for data archiving, collection and backup for different kinds of the data. So you can use for what? Data archive, collection and backup purpose. So you have to use for what? That magnetic tape. Okay, so magnetic disk is what? You can write, rewrite and access the data. So here you can archive the data, collect the data and backup for what? That data difference. So next we will move on to the main memory. So first of all, this main memory in a computer system is often referred to as a random access memory. So main memory is again referred to as what? RAM. So that is the random access memory. So this memory unit communicates directly with the CPU and with the auxiliary memory device through an input output processor. The memory unit communicates between what? Directly to the CPU and auxiliary memory device through an input output processor. You can observe in the diagram or as shown in the figure. The programs that are not currently required in the main memory are transferred into auxiliary memory to provide space for currently used program and data. So whatever that programs are not currently required in the main memory, so that are transferred into the auxiliary memory and to provide the space for what currently used for program and data. So we will discuss in a detail in a later. So that is whatever in the next video or in the next class. Okay, so this is just a brief introduction of what memory hierarchy in that memory hierarchy diagram. So in that first one is the auxiliary memory, second one is the main memory. So next one is the input output processor. It is also in the diagram. The primary function of an input output processor is to manage the data transfer between auxiliary memory and main memory. To manage the data transfer between auxiliary memory and main memory. We can transfer the data or we can manage the data transfer between auxiliary as well as what main memory. So next, cache memory. The data or contents of the main memory that are used frequently by CPU are stored in the cache memory so that the processor can easily access the data in shorter time. Shorter time you can use for what? That cache memory. The data or contents of the main memory that are used frequently by CPU are stored in the cache memory so that the processor can easily access the data in shorter time. Next point, whenever the CPU requires accessing memory, it first checks the required data into the cache memory. It checks the required data into the cache memory. If the data is found in the cache memory, it is read from there. It is read from the fast memory. Otherwise, the CPU moves onto the main memory for the required data. So again, I will repeat this one. Whenever the CPU requires accessing memory, it first checks the required data into the cache memory. It will check the required data into the cache memory. If the data is found in the cache memory, it is read from the fast memory. Otherwise, the CPU moves on to the main memory for the required data. So this is what your memory hierarchy or memory system. So next we will discuss the key characteristics of memory device or memory system. In that first one, location, second one, capacity, third one, unit of transfer, fourth one, access method, fifth one, performance, sixth one, physical type, seventh one, physical characteristics, and eighth one is the organization. Okay, so first we will discuss in a brief way. So that is location. So it deals with the location of the memory device in the computer system. There are three possible locations. First one, CPU. So that is this is often in the form of CPU registers and small amount of cache. Second one, in location internal or main. This is the main memory like RAM or ROM. The CPU can directly access the main memory. And third one, external or secondary, means what? It comprises of secondary storage device like hard disk, magnetic tapes. The CPU does not access the device directly. It uses device controllers to access secondary storage device. So what is the location? So location is again divided into what? Three possible locations. First one is the CPU, second one is the internal or main memory, and third one is the external or secondary memory. So what is that CPU? So this is the often in the form of CPU registers and small amount of cache. It is having got small amount of cache, that is the CPU, central processing unit. Next, internal or main. This is the main memory like RAM or ROM, random access memory or read-only memory. The CPU can directly access the main memory. You can access the CPU directly through that what? Main memory. The CPU can directly access the main memory. Okay, so external or secondary. It comprises of secondary storage device like hard disks, magnetic tapes. Okay, so the CPU does not access the device directly. CPU cannot access the devices directly. It uses devices controls to access the secondary storage devices. You have to use some other extra device, that is what your secondary storage devices. So that's why it is called as a secondary or external. So internal or main is like what, RAM or ROM. You can CPU can directly access the main memory. So second one, capacity. The capacity of any memory device is expressed in terms of two types. First one is the word size, second one is the number of words. So what is that word size? In capacity word size, the words are expressed in bytes, that is 8 bits. The word can be however mean any number of bytes. Commonly used word sizes are 1 byte, that is the 8 bits, 2 bytes, so that is 16 bits, and the 4 bytes, that is the 32 bits. So that is the word size you are going to use commonly, what, that 8 bit, 16 bits or 32 bits. Next, number of words. This specifies the number of words available in the particular memory devices. For example, if a memory device is given as a 4K into 16, 4K into 16, so this means the device has a word size of 16 bits and the total amount of 4K words in a memory. So that is 4096 words in memory. So what is the number of word? So this specifies the number of words available in the particular memory device. For example, if the memory device is given as a 4K into 16, this means the device has word size of 16 bits and a total of 4K words in memory. Third one, unit of transfer. So it is the maximum number of bits that can be read or written into the memory at a time. It is the maximum number of bits that can be read or written into the memory at a time. In case of main memory, it is mostly equal to word size. In case of external memory, unit of transfer is not limited to the word size. It is often larger and is referred to as a blocks. Fourth one, access method. It is fundamental characteristics of memory device. It is the sequence or a order in which memory can be accessed. So there are three types of the access methods. First one, random access. Second one, serial access. And third one is the semi-random access. So what is that random access? If storage location in a particular memory device can be accessed in any order or access time is independent of the memory location being accessed, such a memory devices are said to have random access memory, or it is called as a mechanism. The RAM, that is the random access memory, ICs uses in this method, that is the integrated circuits. So in random access memory, if a storage locations in a particular memory device can be accessed in any order and access time is independent of the memory location being accessed, such memory devices are said to have random access mechanism or a memory. So random access memory, ICs uses access method. Serial access, if memory locations can be accessed only in a certain predetermined sequence, this access method is called as a serial access. Examples are magnetic tapes, CD-ROMs. Okay, so next, semi-random access. Memory devices such as magnetic hard disks uses this access method. Here each track has read or write head, thus each track can be accessed randomly, but access within each track is restricted to serial access. So next one, performance. The performance of the memory system is determined using three parameters. First one is the access time, second one is the memory cycle time, and third one is the transfer rate. So first one, access time, second one, memory cycle time, and third one, transfer rate. So what is that access time? We will discuss in a brief. In random access memories, it is the time taken by the memory to complete the read or write operation. It will take some time. So that is the completion of what? Read or write operation from the instant that an address is sent to the memory. For non-random access memories, it is the time taken to position the read write head at the desired location. The access time is widely used to measure performance of the memory device. Next, memory cycle time. It is defined only for random access memories and is the sum of the access time and the additional time required before secondary access can commence. What is that memory cycle time? It is defined as only for what? Random access memories and is the sum of the access time and the additional time required before the second access can commence. Third one, transference. Third one is the transfer rate. It is defined as the rate at which the rate at which the data can be transferred into or out of memory unit. Data can be transferred into or out of memory unit. Sixth one, physical type. So what is that physical type? Memory device can be either semiconductor memory like RAM or magnetic surface memory like hard disks. Physical type means what? Memory devices can be either a semiconductor memory or magnetic surface memory. So like RAM and like hard disks. Next one is the physical characteristics. Again, in physical characteristics, it comes under volatile and non-volatile. If a memory device continues hold data even if power is turned off, or the memory device is non-volatile, else it is volatile. Okay, so again we will discuss in a detailed way, that is the volatile and non-volatile memory. Okay, so next, organizations. Erasable and non-erasables means what? The memory in which data once programmed cannot be erased are called as a non-erasable memory. The memory devices in which data in the memory can be erased is called as a erasable memory. Example, RAM, that is the erasable, and ROM, that is the non-erasable. So erasable and non-erasable are what? The memories in which data once programmed cannot be erased are called as a non-erasable memories. The memory devices in which data in the memory can be erased is called as a erasable memory. Examples are erasable RAM and non-erasable ROM. So in the next video or in the next class, we will discuss detailed about all the memories. Okay, so that may be cache memory, or that may be main memory, or that may be what? RAM or ROM. Okay, so we will discuss in a detailed way. So just it is a beginning point for what? Introduction of memory organization. So in that memory unit, and also we have seen memory hierarchy diagram for what? Computer system, and also we have seen key characteristics of memory system or memory devices. So first one is the location, second one is the capacity, third one is unit of transfer, fourth one is the access method, fifth one is the performance, sixth one is the physical type, seventh one is the physical characteristics, and eighth one is the organization. So today we will stop here. So thank you for attending this session. I hope you people are understanding. Okay, so next class we will discuss the detailed classifications of that all the memories. Okay, so thank you.